Welcome to the Libertas Media Project. Here's your host, Brian Wilson.
All right, the Libertas Media Project rolling along, and Gerald Celente, publisher of the TrendsJournal, founder, director of the TrendsResearchInstitute, historically located in Kingston, New York, a scenic 2-hour cruise up the Hudson River from Gotham by the Bay, originally picked up in 1626 by Peter Minuet, who bought Manhattan Island from the Canarsie Indians for a U-Haul load of cloth and beads and hatchets and other yard sale goodies. It was worth about $70 in what would be helicopter Ben Bernanke's FRNs, making it the greatest real estate deal before the Louisiana Purchase. But I digress. Peter was no Gerald Celente, otherwise he would have gotten a way better deal on his condo on the fashionable Upper East Side. Gerald Celente, the grand, exalted, omnipotent stomper at TrendsJournal, rightfully earned the reputation as today's most trusted name in trends for his bullseye forecasting that he's made available to lesser earthlings like you and moi since Hector was a pup back around 1980 or something. And you can grab the TrendsJournal for your very own personal self and actually become articulate and talk about things that are important by going to TrendsResearch.com and loading up on a subscription. By the way, makes a great Christmas gift. It is history before it happens. Welcome back, Gerald Celente.
Thanks for having me, and thank you for the kind words, Brian.
Always a pleasure and an education. You know, on that note, since I rely, and I suspect most people rely on you for the crystal ball part. Personally, my untrammeled vision is only 2020 in retrospect. And when I look back and at the conversations we've had over the years, the trends that you've exposed and discussed with us and so on, they tend to trend into some seriously deep fertilizer. And as we get started here, Gerald, I had the thought, coming up here on the end of the year and all the rest of that, is that the general sense of things overall? Is America generally sliding down the razor blade of historically cyclical inevitability?
You know, I wrote a TrendsJournal. Matter of fact, the new one will be out next week. And I begin it with the story, Empire America Fading Fast. I wrote that in 2002. And I re-quote from that. And I mentioned that in 2002, when I said the Afghan war was a losing cause, and that a real estate bubble was being built by these record low interest rates, 46-year lows they were lowering them to. I started getting blackballed from, I used to be on Oprah, the Today Show. I used to be on CNN, maybe 4 times a month. They used to fight to get me on Good Morning America or the Today Show for my top trends of the new year.
Yeah.
Now you have to remember, this is 2002.
Ancient history.
And this is right after we invade Afghanistan, and I say it's going to be a losing war. This is a time when people were tying yellow ribbons around anything that wasn't moving and putting out those made in China American flags everywhere.
Right.
So to say that, and to say that the country was on a downward spiral, was not what people wanted to read or the media wanted to hear or what subscribers wanted to pay for. So I begin this new TrendsJournal with that story. What was not obvious then is now obvious to everyone. You look at the new poll numbers that just came out on Obama. People forget, Obama, when Obama was elected on Inauguration Day, when he was sworn in on Inauguration Day, they booed Bush off the stage. That's how unpopular Bush was. And now we have Obama at Bush levels, not only out-Bushing Bush with the atrocities that he's committed as well, or equaling Bush, whether it's invading sovereign countries, or what Obama likes to have is his Terror Tuesday and sending drones and killing people without being tried or convicted of anything, or whether it's the lovely, lovely humanitarian mission in Libya that's destabilized the entire nation. And now we just heard from General McRaven, or I like to say McRaven Mad, that they want to now train those Libyan soldiers to be counterterrorism experts. Oh yeah. Well, at the end of the day, this is all we have, he says. They're losers. Everything the military's done has been a losing cause since after World War II. and they don't stop. So where is it going? You saw that report that came out, Reuters. This isn't a left-wing organization. What did they come out with? $6.5 trillion. The military can't show how it's spent since 1996. Hey, don't bail out Detroit. No money for Camden. Hey, I'll tell you what we gotta do. We gotta cut back on them food stamps, I tell you. Look at the atrocities. How much more proof do people need? Now it's in front of them. We are at a critical point that I've ever seen in my career. And here's what I'm forecasting. Watch out for that wag the dog moment. Watch out for that wonderful false flag. As I heard that McRaven mad talking about how we got to train them, those Libyan good guys over there, not the bad guys. You know what they're training them for? Counterterrorism. Oh yeah, counterterrorism. That kind of sounds like stopping them commies, right? In Vietnam, because if we don't stop them there, before you know it, they're going to be on the shores of California, I tell you. And we're going to kill 58,000 of our men and women. And we're going to make sure that 3 million Vietnamese are killed, and maybe 250,000 Americans commit suicide from the atrocities that they had to live through. And they're doing it all over again. But now it's obvious. So I'm telling you, Brian, when all else fails, they take you to war. And that's what I fear the most.
Let me ask you about the circle back for just a second to your to your opening line about in the coming journal about fading fast. There is I think there is a difficulty that many people have in understanding the relationship in your prognostications, the trends, and all the rest, and time. Because like you say, you wrote that back in 2002, this is 2013, to a nation that suffers from ADD, aggressive ignorance, contagious apathy, and an addiction to instant gratification. From 2002 to 2013, it's an eternity. It's a lifetime. Last week is ancient history to many people. How do you advise people to get it in their skulls, the understanding of a trend that you forecast all the way back in 2002 that's coming into fruition in spades here in 2013 is not late?
What I suggest people do is to find the truth within themselves. Are they the person who they want to be or they say they are? It all begins with the individual. When you find the truth within you, I tell one of my books, what Zidzi gave Honey Boy. It was about my Aunt Zidzi. It's a Neapolitan dialect for auntie. Z is aunt and Zidzi is auntie. And I write it as I'm going through a divorce. And I was married for 23 years. And this is going back, I wrote the book in 2002. And I'd been divorced before, it was like 1996 I got divorced. Anyway, I write in the book that the most painful part of my divorce was recognizing my role in it. And the most painful part of people that don't want to admit to what's going on is their role in it. What lives are they leading? If they were to die tomorrow, could they take that last breath and say to themselves that they were who they said they were? To me, that's hell, knowing that you lied to yourself and you weren't. So, again, I'm not telling people what to believe or how they should believe. The motto of the TrendsJournal is think for yourself. But to answer your question, it's when people find the truth within themselves, when people are healthy physically, emotionally, and spiritually, only then is it going to change. There's not going to be a leader that's going to lead you out of there. You have to lead yourself. So the denial is what's really going on here. And when I speak about denial, Americans think they're never going to die. Now look at the prescription drugs they take. Really. They think they're never going to die, and that and you could tell by when you listen to the media, and they always say things like, "What will George Bush or Clinton or this person or that person's legacy be?" Who gives a damn what their legacy is? They found the bones of King Richard III under a parking lot. Capisce? Hey, that was the king. He's a pile of dust.
I'm looking a lot like Dorian Gray these days. That's a great point. The on that and following in that vein, then with respect to like, for example, you have spoken numerous times when you and I have chatted. You've spoken to our mutual friend Lou Rockwell and a whole bunch of people in the media where folks can catch your comments on the economy. We have these incurable spendaholics inside the logic-free zone of Washington, D.C. It's been especially egregious since 2008. Can the Titanic dodge the iceberg, or has it already hit and we're just waiting for the inevitable?
It could dodge it. Again, it's so apparent to everyone right now. There's no reason why it can't change. Again, it's up to the people. These changes happen with grassroots movements. And I really believe that the opportunity for a more positive future has never been brighter, because the vacuum is so large. It's so huge. There's no credibility out there. I mean, does anybody take Nancy Pelosi, Harry Reid, Mitch McConnell, Boner, or Lindsey Graham, or John Insane McCain seriously? Do adults really believe the prostitutes? I mean, so what I'm saying to you, Brian, is now the opportunity has never been better. This is the kind of thing, it's a not John Payne. Now is the time for all good men to come to
their party. Yeah, Nathan Hale, whoever that was, John. God, you got me now.
Yeah, Payne. Pain in the neck, pain in the... Yeah.
Thomas Paine.
Thomas Paine, there we go. Yeah, window pane. But no, this is the time. This is the time. Because your life depends on it. Look, life is tough enough. You have your health problems, your financial problems, your personal problems, your love problems. Life is difficult enough, and then you have a bunch of jerks that you don't even know who they are, strangers screwing with your life by making all these laws and regulations, telling you what to do, how to do it, when to do it, and by the way, I want your money. So, really, people have to, when are they going to have the dignity to say no? Look at that clown up in Toronto.
Oh, wow. And he's still there.
He's still there. And you got Berlusconi, you got Hollande, you got Merkel, you got Cameron, you got Bush, you got Obama, you have Clinton, you got one after another. The people you hated in high school and college that wanted to be class president and head of the student council, telling you what to do, stealing your money, and they'll take your life. You're gonna rise up against it? Where is the dignity and the courage in the human spirit of the people? How can they tolerate this kind of behavior and treatment from these people that couldn't shine my shoes?
Well, let's say those are all great points. And as long as we're in that vein, let's take a moment and look at some of the people that have gotten some fairly positive headlines and certainly a lot of enthusiastic support from various quarters of the country. Because we're looking for a leader in that regard. What about Ted Cruz?
An opportunist.
Doesn't move you.
And again, what are you going to do? It's a Democratic and Republican Party. It's the Bloods and the Crips.
Right.
It's the Bananas and the Gambinos. It's no different. They're a mafia. They're a murderous mafia.
Well, is it, and I had this conversation with Lou Rockwell a while back. In fact, I even wrote a piece about it, about Anarchyville horrors and so on. The expression, there's no government like no government. Do you get the sense that the secessionist movement that Tom Woods has written about, that, as I think you mentioned in one of your Trends journals, millions of people have been signing on to, from a petition standpoint online. Does that have a positive future ahead of it, do you think?
Yes, it does. And I have to tell you, what one of my dear friends, may his soul rest in peace, just a year ago, just about a year ago, Thomas Naylor, who was really the prime mover behind this whole secessionist movement and the Second Vermont Republic. I mean, he was the guy, I remember when we first became friends back in about 2001, and I thought he was out of his mind, and he convinced me this is the way to go. And what a gentleman he was. He was a former professor emeritus at Duke University in economics. Real great guy, and he passed on early. And I believe that that's one of the ways. The other way is we have to break up this system. Anybody that has a vested interest in a political party, in my belief, because I believe in what the Founding Fathers said, should not be a member of a political party. They should have no allegiance. Their allegiance should be to the people that they represent. I think we have to break up the gangs. It's gang warfare in the truest sense. So if you're going to go represent us, you should go non-aligned, and we should have term limits. These guys, Brian, I say this from experience. I began my career, I used to run political campaigns in Westchester County. It was the richest county in the United States at the time. I was the assistant to the Secretary of the New York State Senate. I watched grown men grovel all day long. It was the worst job I ever had. I taught and designed American politics and campaign technology at St. John's University and spent several years as one of the chief government affairs specialists for the chemical industry in D.C. So I know what it looks like. And what I'm saying is that this whole thing about term limits should be enforced. These clowns, most of them have never worked a day in their lives. Like that little guy over there, that little boy Ryan, the altar boys. I can't stand the altar boys. I'm Catholic, by the way, so I say that with all sincerity. And meaning the brown-nosers. And the two-faced liars. The cat has never worked a day. And you could go down the list, one after another. So to me, you have to break up the system, no more parties, and the other thing I sincerely believe in is direct democracy, like they have in Switzerland. And let the people vote. You want to go to war, let the people vote. I don't need Lindsey Graham or Charlie Schumer or any of these little boys that couldn't fight their way out of a paper bag telling me I have to go to war. Let the people vote. You want to bail out the banks? Let the people vote. No, don't make decisions for me when you're getting all this dough. Oh, you know what I read yesterday? Our governor over here, what's his name? Cuomo. Yeah, Mario's little boy. Yeah, that's right. They all follow each other. They're born on third base and think they hit a triple. Yeah, those guys. $27 million in campaign donations in the bank. Where did you get this money from? Oh, you couldn't be from those real estate developers, could it?
No.
Not those people that wanted gambling. No, these were little people. They were Walmart employees, I tell you.
Well, let me ask you, because I've had this discussion, there with folks, over the years, and no one really has a logical or principled argument against the concept, like, for example, term limits. But invariably, in order for it to come into fruition, it's going to require the wolves that are guarding the house to essentially vote their way out of a free meal. I don't know how that's going to happen.
Put it on the ballot. Have a referendum. People can put the referendums on.
All right, let me play devil's advocate on that. I've seen, in fact, you and I, I think it was the first time you and I spoke, was late 1990s. I was on KSFO in San Francisco, and that is the home of referendums that get promptly overturned by friendly judges.
Again, everybody knows in life that nothing is easy. That you have to work for everything. And what happens is people give up too quickly. There's ways of going around it. By the way, one of the reasons, I do what I do, and I speak out, and I put out a publication. I never get involved with like political action committees or if there's a movement trying to stop something.
Right.
I never get involved. And I'll tell you the reason why. Because the people have good intentions, they don't have a clue of how it's done. And again, I have the experience. If I have, I gotta get a new top on my car, convertible top. I bring it to a guy that knows how to do convertible tops. I don't go there and tell him, this is the way you do it. I don't do that stuff. But if you're going to talk to me about lobbying and how things get done, I could tell you how they get done. Oh, no. I got an idea. Let's sign a petition. Why do you mean sign a petition? You like to masturbate? Don't do it in public. It's fine. A petition will get you nowhere. Oh, no, I think we should sign a petition. So what happens is you're working with rookies. And that's why these things don't get done. Because you don't have professionals doing them on the other side. If they put professionals in place to make it happen, then it would happen. But every time I see it, I saw it with this GMO thing. It was about, the two things in California and Washington that lost about you have the right to know.
Right.
And what do you mean a right to know? I don't want this crap in my food. Let's talk about what GMOs really do and why the rest of the world doesn't want them. No. The polls show that just put on, you want to know, you want your child to know what's in his food, so they make it like kid crap. They're not fighters. That's why this stuff doesn't work. They're not fighters. When I say they're not fighters, look at the Senate and Congress. Look at that Mayor Ford up in Toronto. Look at Berlusconi. Look at Hollande. Look at Cameron. They're not fighters. And the people are fearful. They don't fight.
Well, I would not begin to disagree with any aspect of that. I mean, there are great candidates out there. There are great ideas out there, but they tend to be packaged very poorly. They're marketed even worse, and they're funded even worse than that.
Again, they're candidates for who? The Bananas or the Gambinos, or the Bloods and the Crips. You're not going to change a corrupt system.
True enough. But whether it's candidates or referendums or other ideas that I remember the danger. One of the dangers with that, I think, is when you and I spoke when I was haunting Ohio. They passed a referendum out there. They put it on the ballot about making it illegal to smoke in restaurants, bowling alleys, even VFW posts and so on. So now you have the tyranny of the majority over the trampling the rights of the minority. And I had Governor, he was running for office at the time, John Kasich, on the air. And I said, well, let me ask you about that, John. Here you've got a situation where you're asking people to vote on whether or not people have the right to choose. That if a restaurant wants to allow smoking, for example, don't eat there if you don't like to be around cigarettes. The guy will ultimately suffer the economic consequences of that, and he'll either have to establish a policy or he'll go bankrupt. Kasich's response was, I'm okay with it because my wife's got asthma and we don't like to be in restaurants where smoking is allowed, so I'm perfectly okay with the referendum.
Again, I agree with you. But you talk about the majority. Look, we're being run by a minority. We have no say at all.
Well, that is true. That is true. We're staring at the smiling face of the fist of power when it comes to that. In fact, Judge Napolitano, who I know you know, we chat here once a week. We spoke about that in relationship to why is it that people are not responding? Why is it that people are seem to be paralyzed in place or, pass me the remote, honey. I've got something. Is because, we talked about it. I said, well, I think it's fear. When you've got a federal government, when you're essentially into a police state, where you've got the, federal laws that allow the president to just pick you up off the street and make you disappear. You got drones. You've got all these wonderful things going on. I know you've seen the stories about some of the remarkable things that local police are doing to citizens and so on, shooting dogs and all the rest of that. It's really, it's pretty frightening.
It's exactly. So are you going to let this happen to you? How could anybody How could anybody with any self-respect or dignity bow to this?
True.
And what people keep saying is that, well, the people out there are stupid. They look at Kardashians, Miley Cyrus, Siley Myrus, whatever her name is, and no, that's done. They'll follow. They'll go any way you want. They're not the problem. You know what the problem is to me?
Go.
The liberals. I have a line. Conservatives believe and liberals lie. When I'm talking about conservatives and liberals, I'm talking about the extremes on both ends.
Right.
So, for example, the conservatives say things like, we got to kill the Muslims over there before they kill us over here. Okay. But they actually believe it. In their heart, they believe it.
Right.
They're ignorant to it, but they believe it. Liberals lie. You could show them one lie after another that their people, that they love their candidates like Obama, and they will make an excuse for everything that he does.
If you like your doctor, you can keep him.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to close Guantanamo, I tell you. I said that the first day I got in office.
First day.
Yep, and how about this one? The Patriot Act? No. When I get in, that thing's going. And then what does he pass? The National Defense Authorization Act, signs it on New Year's Eve, 2011, when nobody's watching.
Yes, now we have this the Patriot Act on steroids is pretty much like that.
And of course the NSA, and you keep going down the list, and they'll make excuses till you get to this one. You know why they don't like him? Because he's black. It's racist.
Racist, right.
So they play the race card. So that's what's holding back the future. Are the people that are intelligent enough to know, but don't have the courage to admit that they've been conned by the commander-in-chief. I've never seen a slicker cat than him in my life. He never changes his tone. It is, I wrote this in the TrendsJournal, by the way, during the 2008 election. I saw him for what he was right away. It's in black and white. You know me, I'm a political atheist.
Yep.
I don't believe in any of this BS. I called it exactly the way it was. And you know when it changed? When Oprah took him under her wing.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Well,
that's when it changed. That's when he learned how to act. That's when he learned how to read his teleprompter really well. And that's when the whole game changed. And now she's out there yelling that we are racists because we don't believe in what he is doing. I'm not a racist. I don't believe it. He's incompetent. He's a liar. Oh, you know what? I love the line that they use. They use this with Bush too, with Iraq. They didn't lie. You know what they did? They misled us.
Well, what was the line the New York Times used about all this? If you like your doctor, if you like your health plan, you can keep it. He didn't lie. He misspoke.
He misspoke. Yeah, these are like hookers, right? Misspoke, misled. Yeah. Really. We should have a whole team of them. Misrepresented.
Yeah, all of
these
those.
Misses,
Right, but I'm reminded of a great quote from Thomas Jefferson: "When injustice becomes law, resistance becomes duty." So I'm hoping that a lot of people will get into that mindset and understand that with the trampling of the Constitution, the rule of law, these incredible lies that are repeated and repeated and repeated, and so on, that folks will start to become more and more aware and in that regard, there are fewer grains of sand in the hourglass now than when we started chatting a little bit ago. I wanted to ask you before we ran out: is it too early right now to get just a glimpse, a thumbnail of the you got to be? I know you're working on them. The trends that you're going to be writing about, that we're going to be talking about in 2014. Can you give us a peek behind the curtain?
I'll tell you the big one that I'm looking at. I believe that we're going to see the market, some kind of financial crash around March, if not sooner. And I'll tell you why. They're going to have to taper. And they can't keep this phony money printing going on forever. They got $4 trillion on their books already that we know of.
Right.
And that they have to cover. And they're going to wait till after the Christmas holidays. They're not going to jeopardize the Christmas holidays.
So you're going to get Yellen handle it?
they were yelling. She's just a pawn like the rest of them, yelling and screaming, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But Bernanke's got a passport. He can get out of the country.
Well, no, he'll get a job like little Timmy Geithner just got, head of Warburg Pincus, right? Yeah, he'll become a zillionaire, for being a flunky.
Right.
And that's all they are, they're just carrying the water. But anyway, when the tapering happens, gold prices are going to go way down. Probably another $100, $150. But what's going to happen when the tapering stops is that you're going to start seeing the emerging markets start to unravel because all the hot money that's flowing over there, it's already leaving. And so the emerging markets go down. The big thing, Brian, is interest rates go up.
Right.
When interest rates go up, this fake economy stops. The only thing that's keeping the economy going, hey, you want to buy a car? I got a deal for you. 0 interest rates. How's that? No income verification needed. Just sign on the dotted line.
Please.
So when the interest rates go up, then the bond bubble pops. Explodes, I should say. So what we're going to see is a brief respite, probably around January, February. By March, things should be unraveling really quickly. Going in the trend line that we see now, considering, of course, our forecast that we believe that the tapering is going to be happening probably around January, if not late December.
Well, all you have to do is mention it and the markets will react. They tried that once before.
Exactly. And again, you saw what happens to the international markets. Mm-hmm. Because the money is so cheap here, they take it over to these other countries with higher interest rates. They have a carry trade. And that's the way they keep the Ponzi scheme going. Right. So that's going to end. That's the big one. And of course, my greatest fear is that when all else fails, they take you to war. We're seeing Obama now with his approval ratings going down the toilet. And we saw the same thing what happening with Bill Clinton. They have that wag the dog moment. When all of a sudden the Monica Lewinsky's out of the news and he's bombing the hell out of Baghdad or sending cruise missiles into some foreign country where in a capital that we'd never heard of before.
Well, that's exactly, speaking of that, the last time we spoke, which I'm embarrassed to say was 6 months ago, Syria was on the front burner. It looked as if bombs would be bursting in Syrian airspace, in a matter of maybe even before we finished the interview. Then the president got out there and embarrassed himself. Do you still think that Syria is an opportunity?
I don't think it'll be Syria. I think it may be, but I think it will be more of a false flag. Hey, Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction and ties to Al Qaeda.
Yeah. Oh, you look.
You know about the Gulf of Tonkin incident.
Oh, I was there. Yeah.
The one that never happened. That one, right?
Right.
Yeah, I'm a real fan of jazz, particularly all the older jazz. I don't like the new stuff. Mm-hmm. These guys are just playing the scale.
You know about Monk and Davis and Brubeck.
Going back, I like the Coleman Hawkins, the Lester Youngs. But anyway, I have some really old stuff, and there's a song I just heard. It was really obscure. I'm fighting for the USS Maine.
The USS Maine. Yeah.
Remember the Maine.
Remember the Maine, yeah.
Yeah. So they'll lie us into anything. And again, these are the sociopaths and psychopaths that are in power. Whether it's Obama or Clinton, Bush, Berlusconi, Cameron, Blair, Hollande or Sarkozy, or that clown up in Canada. There's a 2-bit freak that's telling you how to run your life. You could call them prime ministers, presidents, chancellors, senators, representatives, or whoever you like. And again, life is difficult enough, as I said, and to have these perfect strangers or imperfect strangers screw with your life, to me, it's the ultimate insult of humanity.
Well, on that note, I'm looking forward to the next issue. I would encourage everyone to get up to the website, which we have linked here at TrendsResearch.com, and get yourself a subscription and stick around. The nice thing about Gerald Celente is he is not talk show exclusive. You can hear him chat with our friends over at the Mises Institute with Lou Rockwell at LouRockwell.com, with Alex Jones, with Tom Woods, it's really great. You make yourself that available, Gerald. It's because it gets out into so many different areas, and it's you're like the Johnny Appleseed. That's what you are. We're going to start calling you Gerald Appleseed. Change your name. Hey, listen, if we don't have a chance, and I hope we do, but if you don't have a chance to talk before Christmas and New Year's, have a really Merry Christmas and a great New Year, and whatever the New Year is, I'm sure we'll learn all about it from you and Trends Research, and I thank you for what you do.
Well, thank you, and thank you for what you do, and Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you as well.
Thanks a lot. Talk again.
Bye-bye.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for spending time with the Libertas Media Project. Your support is appreciated. Please look for the donation button on our website. Also visit our Facebook page, facebook.com/Libertas Media Project. Comments, questions, observations welcome. Please come back soon for the next podcast with Brian Wilson from the Libertas Media Project.